Hi, today we're going to be doing lesson 2.12, finding line symmetry. Your math message today involves taking a look at this picture and trying to figure out what's missing. How could I finish the picture, and what does this have to do with our lesson? So if you take a look at that, it looks like half of what? Hopefully you're thinking a star, and what are some things that we could do to try to figure out how to complete the other side. So in class with this particular lesson, you will be cutting out some different shapes and you will be folding them and trying to figure out if they have lines of symmetry, which happens to be our lesson. So there are some vocabulary words that we need to be familiar with. First of all, we have line symmetry. When a picture is folded and the two halves match, we call that line symmetry. Line of symmetry would actually be the fold line. So when we see that paper folded and we see the fold line or we trace the fold line, that is a line of symmetry. And then finally, we have symmetrical. If it's the same on both sides, or some people like to call it a mirror image, then we call it symmetrical. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to play for you a lesson that I have done previously that went with our other math series. So the lesson number is not going to be the same. You can see that it says 10.4, which is not the lesson number that we are currently on. We're just going to watch a part of the video that goes with our lesson today, and it's going to probably talk about a little bit of vocabulary. You do not need to write that part down. I just want you to listen and watch. Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about lesson 10.4, which happens to be about line symmetry. And I want you to be thinking as we go through the lesson today, is there a connection between reflections and line symmetry? So if you remember reflections, let's say that I have this face here on the left side. This is my pre-image, and it is facing the right. When I put my mirror on here and go ahead and reflect that image on the other side, my face is facing the left. So when we have a reflection, they usually face in opposite directions, okay? So let's take a look at our vocabulary today. We have the word line symmetry. And line symmetry is when a line of reflection is in the middle of a picture or object. And so down here at the bottom of my paper, I tried to show you a line symmetry line here in the middle of a star, but since I didn't have a mirror, it didn't turn out exactly the way I had planned, and stars are kind of difficult to make anyway. But I want you to understand that when we have a line of symmetry, the left side of my picture should look the same except in the middle of the picture on the right side. So I've got two pictures here on the other two sides of the star. This would show you what that would look like before I use the mirror. And then when I place the mirror on that line, I should be able to create the other half of that drawing. So this would be my line symmetry, and same thing over here. This would be my line symmetry, and I would have the other half of that drawing on the right side of that line. So let's take a look at some shapes. I have a triangle here, and when we are looking for lines of symmetry, we want to cut out the shape if we're able to and fold it. So if I fold this on this side, you can see that none of my edges overlap. So this would be a line of symmetry here in the middle. And I like to go ahead and draw that line because if I'm counting those, it helps me keep track. So that would be one line of symmetry. I can also take this triangle and I can fold it this direction, and again, it doesn't overlap. So this would also be a line of symmetry. And if I fold it this direction, again, I'm not overlapping. So this particular triangle has 3 lines of symmetry, okay? Now I have another triangle that does not have 3 lines of symmetry. You'll notice that when I take this triangle and fold it, I have a line of symmetry down the middle. But if I try to take this corner up here, you can see that that's not going to form a line of symmetry because my edges do not line up. And if I try to take this corner and fold over here, same thing. So this triangle only has 1 line of symmetry. Let's take a look at this shape that kind of looks like a kite. This one, if I fold this direction, here is 1 line of symmetry. But if I try to take this corner over here, it doesn't line up. If I try to take this corner over here, it doesn't line up. So this particular shape has 1 line of symmetry. Then the almighty square, I already did that one, but I actually measured this to make sure it was a square, made sure I had all my sides the same length. But as you can see, I'm able to fold it this direction, and I can fold the diagonals. So I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of symmetry for a square. A rectangle, on the other hand, I've got a whole sheet of paper here. I can only fold it this direction, which would be 1, and this direction, which would be 2. But if I try to take this corner and fold it over here, as you can see, that is not going to form a line of symmetry. Same thing if I try to go that direction, it won't work. Okay? So that's one way we can find lines of symmetry. The next thing I want to talk about.
Okay, so that's the only portion of that video that we need to watch. I wanted to be able to show you with actual pictures how we can find lines of symmetry. So to summarize this particular lesson, which we kind of combined 2, but same kind of information, shapes can have no lines of symmetry or 1 or more lines of symmetry, as you saw from some of the folding activities that I did for you today. And if a shape is symmetrical, the picture will match exactly on both sides of the line of symmetry. You've got this, so hopefully you can show me how much you've got this in class. See you then.